Greetings, I'm Dr. Randy Kale. I want to welcome you to my toolkit for tough times. Here at Terrific Parenting, we're working vigorously to create a toolbox that will serve you with tools, not just for this week and next, but for however long this lasts. So I want you to stay tuned for future videos. We'll have links to valuable documents and other websites where you'll find information that can help you get through these times. And these are tough times, right? It's no doubt extraordinary times. In a conversation with one of my clients we were having via a telehealth communication module, she was talking about how destabilized she felt. That's an interesting word, right? Destabilized, because many of us feel that. What causes that, of course, is that we are all accustomed to a pretty predictable life. A life where we're used to this, then this, then this, and then this. And tomorrow it's this, this, this. That predictability brings ease and comfort to us. It creates a sense of control of our lives. And so when all of that changes, which it has now, we feel destabilized. In fact, anxiety goes up. This is true for your kids. It's true for you. So one secret and one of the pieces of instruction that's critical to this whole series is that I want to teach you how to have stability again. And stability comes by having that sense of predictability. But you want to be able to do that with clarity about what to control and what not to control. Too often we end up in this role, particularly in these settings, and I've seen it now for a couple weeks, where we end up in this pattern that has now exacerbated, where we're constantly instructing and telling our kids what to do next, what to do next, what to do next. And so you want to stay tuned throughout this video series so you can get a sense of how to manage your kids without doing that, how to control the right things so that you aren't controlling of your children. And yet at the same time, we do want that predictable world, a predictable structure, because that brings ease to your kids. For many of you, you're accustomed to predictability in your daily routine, but it's sort of other directed, right? Your employer, your business, where you took the kids, a lot of things were predetermined and you just followed in. And that sort of structure brought a sense of predictability. Now all that, for many of you, has disappeared. And you may not be that good. You may not be an expert at self-control, at creating good structure, a predictable routine for yourself. And so that's going to be important. It's critically important for you, critically important for your kids. And we're going to talk more about that later. But in this world of unpredictability, of a loss of structure, we got to begin to see that there are other threats to your children's future, other threats to your future. And by threats, I don't mean a virus that you're going to get sick from, but I mean threats that have to do with one fundamental distinction. And that is either during these times, the weeks, perhaps months ahead, you and your kids will get stronger or you'll get weaker. Very likely life leads you in this place where you can just kind of dog pedal and stay the same. My fear is these are ideal circumstances for many families to get weaker because they haven't developed that sort of self-discipline, not understanding how to control structure in their home, not having good self-discipline to put their own pattern or routine in place that's going to make me as a parent or you as a parent get stronger. Also here is the threat that in that looseness, we may begin to think that, oh, it doesn't matter that much. They got their work done, I'll just let them go. Well, for a lot of you, you have kids that are pretty bright. Schools may not be giving that much work because they're not used to this. So hour or two, they're done, and now you let them run. Well, the danger there, particularly as kids get older, they fight you a little harder, they make life miserable if you try to set limits. You eventually just say, okay, just let them all have their phone, let them have their computer, let them play video games, watch TV, whatever. this would be a major mistake. A major mistake. Because, as I alluded to, everything matters. Everything matters. And so it's all accumulating. Now, I don't want to be an extremist here. It's not that I'm saying an hour or two of TV or playing a video game or being on the phone. That's not the problem. The problem is hours upon hours accumulating day after day after day. That's a problem. And we know it to be a problem. It's not like this is Dr. Cale's opinion. The research is really, really clear on this. It is a threat. It changes the way the brain works. It changes the brain's capacity to focus, to put forth effort. Because in our neurofeedback clinic that we have at our office, we're able to actually watch. When you or your child watches TV and that goes on for a while, the natural tendency of an untrained brain is to produce more alpha wave patterns. And why is this important? Well, alpha is the brain wave of idling. The parts of the brain that should focus, solve problems, remember things. Oh, this is what's next. Or it's a 3-step problem. I go from this to this to this. Alpha sends everything into an idling pattern. And we know from good data that when we watch TV for hours on end, play video games, or just browse the computer, what happens is we kind of move with what comes at us, right? It's a good reason why we're idling. Whatever's feeding us information is controlling where our attention goes. Literally, it's controlling where our attention goes. And our brains, it goes past entertainment to what's called entrainment. Particularly, this is true for your children. It entrains us to the content that they're giving us. In this alpha wave pattern, we become idle, so we become less circumspect. Our discernment disappears. So we then create a sort of lazy brain that just follows along. And remember what I said earlier, we're getting weaker or stronger. Now, if we spend 10, 12 hours in a day getting stronger, and we spend a couple of hours watching TV, that's not a big deal. A couple hours playing a video game, not a big deal. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the tendency in these times to let kids, and even if we get laid off from work, turning on the news, watching too many shows. I mean, the Netflix volume has increased like tenfold in the last month. So you see, the majority of American families are reaching toward entertainment from the outside, and in the process, if not careful, this sort of lazy brain patterns inevitably going to unfold. And the difficulty is a week, not a big deal. 2 weeks, probably not a big deal. But if this goes on for months, and in many households, this has already been happening, kids having 5, 6 hours a day with digital content directing their attention, the difficulty is we add this over time, and that becomes a pattern in the brain that is much harder to change. It's a brain that doesn't want to focus, doesn't want to put forth effort, memory drops, performance drops. So we got to be careful about this. So part of the structure, part of the predictability needs to set limits and have controls on these electronic devices, because in reality, they are a threat to your children's future. And in reality, they're a threat to your sharp, good mind as well if it goes uncontrolled with no limits put in place.